Alright, hey everyone, just doing a little doodling sketchbook, and I'm gonna finish up this one I was working on. Just gonna finish up and add some more characters. Especially on the sketchbook ones that I do, I try to just fill the whole page. I mean, pretty much all my drawings, I try to fill the whole page, and it's kind of, once I do that, I kind of know when the drawing's done. But when I do some like digital painting, then I go a lot based on like how much can I, if I like render any more, will it kind of add any more? Or like sometimes I'll just do render until the passion is gone for the painting, and then it's kind of a good stopping point that I usually do. It's kind of weird though for drawing though. I don't really stop at that same point, since I treat every character kind of like a new painting. So when one character's done, I'm pretty much on the next one, and I'm not thinking too much about the previous characters. Really am just thinking about how the next characters can kind of interact. Like I'll look at like the tiger and different things and think what would be cool to have next to him, or like what's kind of like a good interaction to have. But that's about as far as I think on those characters. After they're done, they're kind of like in a resting position, I guess you could call it. Some kind of like elf character sitting on the front here. Add a little bit of cast shadow that'll fade off. And then maybe give him a sword. Whenever I'm drawing with a marker, I have to kind of be a little bit simplified with a lot of detail, like a lot of the parts of the face I can really go in there with a lot of line, since all of the lines are just consistent, like pretty bold line with the marker, which can kind of make it a little bit interesting for trying to get more detail on the characters. kind of get a little bit of a fade off them. And then up here, like whenever I'm doing these kind of pages, I'm always thinking of some kind of interaction between the characters, and that's really like something that kind of keeps me interested and keeps a lot of drawing a little fresh, since I'm thinking about kind of like what character goes well with this tiger up here, or like what could be something that would be a little bit interesting to put there. And then once I'm doing it, I try not to think too much. Especially when I do hands and arms, I try to think a lot about interaction, even on like the own character or the character's own body. So this character has 4 arms, and now I'm kind of thinking of some kind of like pleasing angle and shape to have his other arm. I always like to add some kind of like smiley face or some kind of cat-like character, just like a little thing to put in a lot of these like open spaces. And that kind of goes back to like the layering that I talked about before. Is that in as many different variety and layers to it. Maybe they have like little bat wings. having these little cartoon characters. I like doing sometimes too. They're pretty fun, and they also add kind of like a more variety since it's a bit of a style change and kind of more contrast between maybe some of the more realistic characters. And then I'm thinking this character needs a bit of dark area on him so that he's not super lost in the drawing. So give him a little bit of hair. And these other characters we could darkening their eyes. Really, I tried to get at least like one area of super dark, like local value on them. So one thing of like that would naturally be dark, like a dark shirt. It could be hair color, like pretty much anything. And then sometimes if there's like absolutely nothing that I could do that's dark on them, I'll usually start adding in some cast shadows and then force a dark area in there. Add more of these kind of bat characters. I feel like this character needs a little more dark areas on him. Add some kind of random clothing. There we go. All right, and then I think maybe another tiger could go here. I don't know why I'm on such a tiger kick lately. I think they just are very satisfying to draw since all the detail on them is pretty pretty easy to pull off. A couple months ago, I saw like a huge samurai obsession for drawing wise. He's like only drew samurai. It's kind of how I am now. I just go from one thing, get really super obsessed with it, and then eventually probably lean into something else, explore what that has, and then go from there. And really right now it seems to be tigers. I've always liked doing animals for painting or drawing, and tigers and like lions and different cats have always kind of, oh, they have a very for me, tigers almost like look very intelligent and almost like a human-like. Give him some kind of shoulders here. Alright, there we go. Yeah, once we get a few characters in here, it gets very, very easy to start to fit a lot more in. That's kind of why I started to drop like fixed perspectives and kind of following off of a grid, or just kind of like following perspective closely. It's because like once I would put a lot of characters in, there's almost too many overlaps that happen to where if I wanted to add a character, it would be, you wouldn't even like see part of the character because in the perspective that just kind of happens. So I've had to go with more of just on the fly, especially like proportions. I have to change that a lot throughout the character, and kind of just bend things and adapt them to what suits the character or different things that I'm going for at that time. And that helps me go a little more crazy with like imagination. I think to really separate some of these characters, I'll darken in a little bit of his armor. go. Also, it could add a bit more detail. Just trying to get like a lot of variety and separation. If I kind of do too close of a formula for each of the characters, they'll start to look very repetitive and a little too systematic. Oops. Leave a little bit of light open. Alright, I think I got all my main characters pretty situated. I'll just sneak a couple in here. And sometimes I'll talk about like support characters. I mentioned it a few times on like streams and different videos. But these little like creatures would kind of be like support characters for my drawings, because they really help separate the other characters and really separate the characters from the background too, since they open it up. And some of these other ones are also kind of supporting the ones in front. And sometimes I'll like go pretty deep with the perspective and have characters pretty far back, and that would also be a way to get kind of like some supporting characters in. But other times I'll do these small characters to get some separation. If I wanted to go a bit further, I would add some color and really separate it even more. But I'll probably wait to color this one, or at least like some of the kind of spot color in different pieces, because I don't want the markers to bleed. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. The acrylic marker kind of bled through. I probably have enough time. Alright, I'll do some shading on here, and then I'll add some spot color. I'm always trying to look back at my camera and see if I'm actually drawing on on camera. I used to film a lot of time-lapse videos, and there'd be times where I was like completely off camera for about like 30 minutes and missed a whole character. It's like, no. Don't even notice until I go to edit the video. Get a little bit of a fade off the side here. Alright, I'll see what I can do with some color. I was wondering where my marker markers went, and they were right in front of me. I think kind of just randomly grab a color and do like a pink for these characters. In the background here. Oops. Colored his ear a little bit. That just kind of happens a lot when there's a lot going on the page. A lot of times I'll just be like, whoops, I colored half the dude's face blue and didn't even know that was a character. Thought it was a part of a different character. I think that happens about every drawing I've done. At least one thing is miscolored. I know people on my streams would always ask what I do about like mistakes and different things, or like how to go about when you make mistakes. And really the adapting is kind of the main thing I do. I don't really notice mistakes or like care too much about mistakes. It's just kind of like, how am I gonna react to the mistake and what am I gonna do to sort of adapt and compensate for the mistakes, and that's kind of how I go about that. Alright, let's see if I don't know what some of these colors look like. Alright. I didn't plan on coloring much of these characters, but I guess I'll just kind of like get some quick flats in here. I think the Crayola marker really shines combined with alcohol markers really well. I think it's really like that faded look that the lines have that really opens up the coloring. I was not expecting the Crayola marker to bleed through the page though. That's pretty crazy because I've had some heavier inks on this paper and it hasn't done that. It could just be that it's the last page in the book as well. Maybe that page is a lot thinner than the other ones. Trying to quickly speed through some of these flats. The coloring at this point is really just for some separation. The nice thing is it's going to be naturally kind of all warm tones, since the tigers will be orange. I don't think I've ever done a tiger actually with the acrylic marker and colored it. It's kind of interesting. It's the first time I've seen this. I think it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna have to do these in orange though. It's gonna. I think it'll look a little nicer. It's kind of the adapt-in that I was talking about, like the above the eyes. I'm pretty sure tigers have a light spot there, but for whatever reason, gut feeling, I just feel like it would look better for that one if it wasn't. Try to cover as much ground as I can with this. Yeah, and then on this character, the light on the above the eye actually looks good, so this one I'll keep like that. And then since we got all warm tones, I will make these stars yellow. Get a little more variety in color here. And after seeing this, I think it should be orange as well. Alright, I think that's gonna do it for this kind of like sketchbook drawing. The page on the back is absolutely demolished. But who knows, maybe I'll do a mini drawing in the back there. But yeah, that's gonna hold up. Now looking at it, gotta do his crown. Can't forget this. The king of the tigers. Alright, there you go. Alright, I think that's gonna do it for this drawing. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's kind of some sketchbook drawing, really. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.